Now on to Afghanistan, where two more U.S. soldiers were killed on Friday, this time by Afghan police officers during a training exercise. They are the latest victims of what's now being called insider attacks. That's when an Afghan soldier trained by the U.S. turns his gun on Americans. In the last 2 weeks, 9 U.S. military personnel have been gunned down by what they thought were their Afghan allies. Kitty Logan is in the Afghan capital of Kabul this morning. Kitty, good morning.
Good morning. Well, first of all, there's been more violence in the country today. A bomb attack in the western province of Herat has killed 4 people. Now, this comes a day after 2 of these so-called insider attacks came back to back. This, of course, is now a worrying trend, these attacks coming with alarming frequency. Now, the international security forces here, so they still can't say what's behind these attacks. Now, previous investigations have proved them just to be isolated incidents or personal grievances, but these are now happening so frequently that questions are being asked about whether this is some kind of planned campaign. Now, if you look at the case yesterday of one of these attacks, it was carried out by a young Afghan police recruit. He'd only been in the force for about 5 days when he opened fire and shot those US soldiers. Now, he was killed during that attack, and the investigation is still ongoing, so we can't say exactly what happened, but certainly suspicions are that that may have been a premeditated attack. Now, the Taliban leader, Mullah Omar, says that this is part of a plan of infiltration by insurgents. We can't confirm if that statement is true, but certainly this has been a bit of a PR coup for the insurgency. They've certainly been able to claim responsibility for these attacks if they're not carrying them out. Now, there are measures in place to prevent further incidents in future. Already, Afghan recruits are subjected to a very strict vetting procedure, but it seems that is not enough to prevent these kind of incidents happening in future. We also understand from the US military that their forces now have to keep weapons loaded and ready at all times, even when they're on base. Now, if these attacks do turn out to be insurgent infiltration, then it might actually be easier to tackle than if they are just random, isolated incidents of outbursts of anger. But certainly this is a headache for the international forces here ahead of the transition process, which is ongoing. But the US military says morale is high amongst its troops, but you certainly have to wonder what the levels of trust might be now, given the recent spate of these incidents and the frequency of them.
Kitty Logan in Kabul, Afghanistan this morning. Thank you.